Hello everyone, this is Jonathan Brown once again with the Reading Journal. We are continuing right where we left off the last time in our walkthrough of chapter 19, I believe it was, of All That Jesus Commanded by John Piper. I ended with section 5, or getting ready to start section 5. So, let's get into it. But first, let us let the Lord record. And do the do, as it were. Alright. As for this section of the 18th of October, yes, continuing from the 18th of October, today is the 28th of February 2026. It was written in October of last year. As for this section, it was the first paragraph that stood out to me, and it was its clarifying nature. It reads as follows. We return now to Jesus' prohibition of anger. We have heard it said, that it was said, to those of old, you shall not murder. Whoever murders will be liable to judgment. But I say to you that everyone who is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment. Matthew chapter 5, verses 21 and 22. In view of all we have seen, I would make the observation here that the anger Jesus is forbidding is the anger behind murder. In other words, he is intensifying the command not to murder. He is pointing out that it is not only the act of murder, but the feeling behind it that is worthy of condemnation. In other words, he is not prohibiting all anger, the kind that leads to murder. The verse comes to mind, rather, it is the first half of Proverbs chapter 23, verse 7, which, coming from the Hebrew English Interlinear Bible, says, before I read that, that's this sucker. You should definitely get yourself one of these. If you do not have access to the original languages, get yourself one of these and get yourself one of these. It'll help out extraordinarily. Alright. Continue. Okay. That version says this. This is coming from the original language. For as he thinks in his heart, so is he. Which also brings to mind Proverbs 4:23 in the NLT, which says, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. Jesus said in Luke 6:43-45, no good tree bears bad fruit, nor again does a bad tree bear good fruit, for each tree is known by its own fruit. For figs gathered from thorn bushes, or grapes picked from the bramble bush. A good person out of the good treasure of his heart produces good, and an evil person out of the evil treasure produces evil. For out of three passages show that if we do not guard our hearts, and let evil in, evil will be what comes out in word and in deed, including murder. If one ponders on the offense committed against them for too long, it may cause bitterness to take root. Hebrews 12:15. And when that happens, the fruits of that can lead to murder. For as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So one must continually be aware and obedient to Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 7 says that the wicked change their ways and banish the very thought of doing wrong. Let them turn to the Lord and He will have mercy upon them. Yes, turn to our God, for He will forgive us. Take every thought captive to obey Christ. 2 Corinthians 1:5. Backing up the step, Scripture also says in John 3:15, everyone who, well, 1 John chapter 3, everyone who hates his brother is a murderer, and we know that no murderer has eternal life. God is in heaven. Importance of embracing mercy and forgiveness. Mercy and forgiveness suffice that we may be merciful and forgiving toward others. To not do this marks one as an unbeliever, doomed to suffer under the wrath of Almighty God. Chapter 6. Anyhow, Dr. Piper finishes this chapter, sums up not only his own thoughts, but also my own. He finishes off with a single quote, paragraph, saying, nevertheless, the demand not to be angry is radical and devastating. Puts us face to face with the impossibility of saving ourselves. Jesus' command is not something we can do in our own power. Becoming angry is not a choice we make. It is fruit on the branch of our lives. The question is, what vine are we a part of? And whose fruit will we bear? The command of Jesus not to be angry is therefore also a demand that we abide in Him. And abiding in Him as our body. Whoever abides in me and I in Him, He it is that bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. Good comment. That's John 15:2. Do a good comment on Dr. Piper's closing words to this chapter. I appreciate the connections he made to the command not to be angry. Number one, highlighting our helplessness and hopelessness in saving ourselves. Secondly, the questions, which vine are we to be a part of, and whose fruit are we to bear? Association with Jesus' parable of the vine and the branches in John 13. And that's John 15. And that reminder to abide in Jesus. Thirdly, the reminder that anger is not a choice to be made. All of these were helpful reminders that I need to pray over daily, because anger is something that I am always reminded, help me to remind in you every second of every day, that I may produce the fruits of your spirit, for you know my daily struggle, anger, and purify, etc. Please help me. In Jesus' name. That concludes my thoughts on chapter 19. I wasn't expecting that to be difficult long, but that's okay. Anyways, yep, I think that sums that up pretty well. I'm very happy. I'm still kind of waking up a little bit. My brain is on other things that I need to do today. So, yeah. I hope this was encouraging to you. I hope you have learned something. I hope that it's beneficial. Again, there will be a link to my email in the comment in the description, so you can send me your comments, because my software issue don't have access to the comment section. So please feel free to then you know. Alright. I will leave you with my usual benediction. From Numbers chapter 6, verses 24 through 26. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance